Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's good to be back on the Producers Club. So happy to be with you guys. I haven't been seeing a lot of you guys in 6 months, so it's nice to see some familiar faces and all that. I have with me today, well, let me rewind. So these days, I am the team leader of KW La Mesa. La Mesa is about 5-10 minutes inland of San Diego downtown. So we're like the east side of San Diego. It's beautiful. There's a lot of hills around me. You can see the sunshine behind me. And I have with me today one of our rock star agents from KW La Mesa, Jefi Moultrie. So everybody, welcome, Jefi.
Hi, everybody.
And this is going to be exciting for me too, because Jefi and I have spoken, 3-4 times, and we've had some discussions, but I've never really had a chance to really sit down and get to know you and ask you all about your history in real estate and all that. So I'm as excited as anybody else.
Sure.
So with that being said, let's stop talking about me and let's talk all about you. So Jefi, let's go through some basic, the basic questions just to get up to speed.
Okay.
When did you first get into real estate?
2001, end of 2001.
And was that here in La Mesa? Did you get started here?
Yes, I did. So, I did get started here. My first company I worked for was Remax.
Right on. And so you were there for a while, and then how soon before you came over to Keller Williams?
Keller was about 6 years into my career.
Okay.
And just a little bit of my backstory. I grew up in a house of realtors. My brother is still in commercial real estate. He lives in Washington State. My dad was a commercial broker and my mother was a residential realtor. And when I was going to school and deciding what I wanted to do, everybody's like, "Oh, we want you to join the family business." I'm all, no, I'm never doing that. I never see you guys. I'm never going to be a realtor. And so I had a 15-year career with Nordstrom. I was a buyer for them for their juniors department for 15 years. Well, actually, that's not true. I was a buyer for them for 10 of the 15. Worked on the floor, worked all of San Diego, all of Washington. And that kind of gave me a background in sales. And then I left Nordstrom and started my own clothing line. And my clothing line went out of business in September 2011. Or 2001. So September 11th, my goods got stuck in Canada and my business went out of business. And so that's when my dad said, "Hey lady, act 2, go get your real estate license." And I did. And so that's kind of the background of where I came in, but I've loved it. It's been an incredible, well, it's 21 years this year.
So you said both your parents were in real estate before you?
Yep.
Cool.
And my brother.
All right. So were they really helpful in showing you the ropes? Is that where you got most of your early education and how to, how to get started?
I think honestly, yes, but Nordstrom really gave me a background in high level customer service.
Yeah.
And I taught the University of Nordstrom, which was these classes that they taught to buyers and store managers of the floor, and their whole premise was high level customer service. So I just carried that over into real estate.
Fantastic. So tell me about the first few years in real estate. What kind of activities were you doing? Because I'm sure we got some new people on here who are probably wondering,
sure,
okay, you're somebody who's having a lot of success. What did you do in your first few years? What were the things that helped you get up and running?
Okay. So like I said, right when I got my license, I had just lost a business. So you can imagine that my bank account was sub-zero, which is really scary because I was a mother of 3. I had my daughter was born December 18th, 2001. And my very first showing, she was strapped onto the front of me in a little baby carrier. And I was walking around a vacant lot in the rural suburbs of San Diego. And it was scary. And so I had 2 kids in elementary school, 1 kid strapped to me. And I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? And what I did was what I called the birthday party circuit. Now, for people who have kids who go to birthday parties, this is great. For people who have joined real estate that are just starting, that are a little bit past that, you can apply the idea. But what I did was I made sure I went to every single birthday party my kids were invited to. no matter what. And before I went, I would study the market. So I would know exactly what was happening in the market, in the area that I was going to the birthday party. And when you go to these parties, whatever kind of parties you go to or events you go to, I don't care if the market is crashing or the market is soaring. Everybody talks about real estate all the time. And so what I would do is I would just start adding in little pieces of information of things that were happening. And people would go, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" Or, "Wow, that's interesting. What do you do?" "Oh, I'm a realtor," and then we'd start talking. And that's where the majority of my transactions came from in my first 12 months.
So that is really cool. By the way, Kim, Joe OMeara just logged on as well. So Jefi and Joe are a team. Yeah. I thought we might only be getting Jefi this morning. Joe, it looks like you were able to make it as well. So
okay,
yeah,
I'll spot.
Cool. So it's funny to say, I remember when I was new, when my kids were born, my wife and I were working as a team, and people said to us, "Oh, well, there's your marketing department right there. Your two little infants." They're like, "Oh, you don't even know yet." But when you have kids, if you play it right, that's and it's been true all throughout. Through sports and whatever they're doing, you just meet all the parents and stuff. Yeah, lots.
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely.
So there's a lot of that.
Right on. Joe, let me switch to you for a minute. So we were talking about Jefi and her early years in real estate. Tell us about you. So when did you get into real estate, and what were your first few years like?
Oh, sorry I was late.
No worries.
So when did I get in it? 2004, and I got in it when I left the car business. I was a car salesman, and so I saw and the reputation was that you're going to struggle when you enter in real estate, and so it was something I never thought that I really could do. They'd say, "Oh, you're not going to sell anything for 2 years," and all this and that. So it was really defeating. But I got in because one of the car salesman's wife worked for KB Homes, and she had a 9-to-5 job, makes 6 figures, and had 2 days off. And I'm like, this is a better deal. And all the car guys with me thought it was the same thing, a better deal. So I did it. So I got a temp job working for builders for $11 an hour, and then got signed on by a family-owned company and did that until the market crashed in 2008.
Yeah,
didn't know what I was going to do. Went into I took a class at the San Diego Association of Realtors, and the broker there was talking about his brokerage blowing up, and everyone was just selling. And I thought, well, why don't I join them, and maybe I can just bump into a deal.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest REO brokerage in San Diego.
Yeah.
So the phones were ringing off the hook, which they haven't been since. And so you just would go to the call center, and you would get your allotted times, and then that's how I got my clients. And so one of the things I learned when I was in the car business is that to add value to your clients, so you would get repeat business. And so I took that into when I made my first sales, to never want to lose those clients. And some of those clients I still have today from when I sold in 2009 and so forth. I just held on to them. And then when I teamed up with Jefi, she did a lot of client events. And so we do a lot of those client events because we do everything we can to retain our clients and multiply them as much as we can.
All right, so we've already got three gold nuggets here to unpack. So Jefi was talking about working with her kids and those birthday parties and those kind of things. Joe, I'd love to talk about the value add that because you were getting a lot of inbound calls, I take it. So for those who are new and don't know, REO is like real estate owned properties. These were bank owned foreclosures that there was a lot of in 2008, 2009, 2010. It was, tons and tons of these bank owned houses. And I'm assuming that you'd have call centers and a lot of buyers probably calling in asking about those REO properties. Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, I never did a traditional sale for like the first 2 years. It was all bank owned listings. Yeah. So I would get the buyers, and the buyers would own the properties. And then all the value I did was I just constantly stayed in touch with them. I remembered as much information I could about them, to their kids and all the things that are important, and just try and stay in touch with them, think of ways to stay in touch with them and add value, as market reports, anything like that, so that they wouldn't forget about me when they would want to sell again. And it worked.
Now, did you have a lot of clients who called about the REO property, but then you ended up representing them as they bought something else, or were
Exactly.
you looking more for
Yeah.
repeat business down
Yeah,
the road?
they all called because we had signs everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's hard to get nowadays, but they
Sure.
would call because they would see the signs, all the listings, and then I'd say, okay, well, I can show it to you. Then I'd figure out if they, wanted to work with me or not. And then it just took off from there. I just worked really hard to just do a really good job and close the deal and retain them. That's all I cared about.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. Let's stay on here for a minute, and then I want to go back and talk about Jefi's networking with children and all that, and then I want to talk about your client events. So we got some time. I want to cover all things. So what specifically were you when people were calling in about these REO properties and you were adding value and retaining them as clients for years, and like you're saying, some of those clients are still your clients today. What kind of value are you adding, and what did your follow-up engagement plans look like? Just at a high level.
It's easier to think of the value that we're doing now because it's more recent, because we do, San Diego Padres and we do Girl Scout cookies and things like that. But
yeah,
back then there would be a couple of dinners that I would do, but I wouldn't do many group things or coffee things. It would be mostly me calling them, checking in with them, talking about the market, knowing their birthdays, their anniversary dates, and when they bought, just that, and very low budget, but that it worked.
That's awesome. Just maintaining your sphere of influence and maintaining those past clients, and that's
I mean, it could be something as simple as when you're driving in their neighborhood and you see their house, and you can text them and say something about their house. Oh, I like what you did here or there, and it could be something as simple as that. It's just constant contact.
People love when you stay in touch with them, and love it. Great stuff. Now, Jefi, let me go back to you. We're rewinding a little bit here because we're talking about client, your kids, kids' friends' birthday parties and all that. Tell me more about that. So, you go to these events. What kind at one of these events? I know typically, everyone starts asking hey, what do you do? And the minute someone rents real estate, they always say, how's the market? Is that kind of how it went for you, or is it different?
Well, it's the same. And something, I'm going to say the same as Joe did. You pull this into current day because my kids are now 21, 25, and 27. So it doesn't have to be a birthday party, you guys. It can be anything. And just like Joe said, that if you're just beginning, and I don't know how many people on this Zoom are in year one, do we know? Is there a big percentage?
I would say probably about half the people on here are within their first year. Probably good.
Okay, fantastic. So when you're first starting out, the most important thing you can do is figure out how you can be in front of people. So that can be birthday parties, that can be open houses, that can be get together your 10 most favorite humans that and you just sit and talk with them, and you get the word out of who you are and what you do and why it's important that people know you. And a lot of people in the beginning, and even I'm not sure if Joe would agree with this because he's a little bit, he's pretty confident. But when I was first starting, I thought, okay, what do I have to offer? What do I have to bring to the table? And what I had to bring to the table was the group of people that I knew. And Joe and I do this a lot even now as being seasoned agents. Like when we sit down and we talk to people, let's say that you don't have kids that you can go to a birthday party with. You get your 10 most favorite folks together, or you're at an open house and you're talking, and you get that feeling like, okay, well, what do I have? What do I know? I haven't been in this business long enough. Well, you've got Ed, you've got your team leader where you work. You've got other people inside your office that you can lean on. So just remember that's not just you. You can lean into the sphere of humans that you know in this business and get answers that you need. And a lot of times when you show that vulnerability, especially when people ask you, well, how long have you been in the business? And, whatever. You can say, I have years of experience behind me. I currently have been licensed for blank, but I can lean into these people to get the information I need. So there was a lot of that type of conversation when I was first starting. The other thing is that whatever space you're in, even if it's one-on-one when you're talking to someone, you absolutely need to understand what's happening in your current market. You can't just rely on the kitchen looks great and the bathrooms are remodeled and we have hardwood floors. That's, anybody can see that, anybody can say that, anybody can do that. You need to know, how many months of supply do I have in my current market that I'm working in? How many homes are in the market? Can I go out and show those homes after I meet with this person one-on-one at this open house or whatever? What's the average sales price in my area, and what's happening in the current market? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying level? Those type of things are very important, and it shows that you're a professional. It shows that you know what you're talking about. And right now in the current climate of our market, people really want to know what's happening, and news is, because they're spouting off things that are quasi true, but they're not really true for your micro areas. And that's why getting to know those micro areas is so important, because a lot of times you're talking to people that are like, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that we'd had a 3% increase in La Mesa in the last 60 days or whatever. Just be the expert. So I know I took a long time to answer that question, but that is the most important thing you can do, is really know your numbers, in my opinion.
No, it was a thorough answer for people who are wanting to know the thorough answer. Yeah, no, that was great content. That was hopefully a lot of people taking notes. That was great stuff. Let's do this, because I know you guys left KW for a while and then came back, so I want to talk about that, because as you know, it's a big win for our company at large. And then we'll, towards the end, I'd either like to ask you some about the client events you're doing, or we'll talk about what you're doing in the shifting market. So, but let's start with. Sure. You guys were at Keller Williams for a number of years, I believe, right? Like about 10 years, and then you left for a while and then came back. Tell me more about that. So, and hey, full disclosure, like our KW is not perfect. I love the company. I drink the Kool-Aid. I love it. And yet we have market centers that sometimes go astray and they don't follow the models and they falter and stuff. I know up in where these guys are all out in the South Bay, there is a market center that was struggling for a while there. That's now slowly getting its footing again. But so these things happen. So, but tell me about you. What was your experience and what led you to leave? And then what led you?
How much money them are people they charge? $150 a night, $100 cleaning fee.
Hold on, sorry, trying to find that person.
No,
I think that's Hope. Hope, you're not on mute.
No feedback.
That's Hope Lynch.
There you go.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. So yeah, Jefi and Joe. So what led you guys to leaving KW, and what led to coming back?
You want me to take that, Joe, or you want to run with it?
Yeah, that's your story. That's not my story. That's your. Yeah. Yes, you're taking this.
No, and hey,
okay.
and don't pull your punches. Like I like, because you came back, so something must have brought you back too. So
yeah. Well, okay. So originally, we left KW to join a very small boutique real estate office that I was actually going to be part owner in. And then some things shifted around, and I ended up not being an owner in it. My husband and I made a decision that it just wasn't a good match. But at that point, we had already moved, and it was downtown La Mesa where we wanted to be, in a boutique setting. And it was great to start with. Yeah. Well, all the things that, there's a lot of things that we love about KW. We love as producers the cap that is afforded to us. Yeah. We love the strength of the agents that are there. We love the fact that you can go to a family reunion. As a matter of fact, Joe's been to more family reunions than I have. But the level of education that you can receive and have access to is really, it's wonderful. So when Joe, full disclosure, Joe was a massive trooper. He hung out way longer at this boutique place than he wanted to, and he did that, I think, for me.
That's true.
And so that is true. And so I got on a plane to go to Australia to visit my husband's family, and Joe called me and he said, "Look, I'm making a decision." And I said, "All right, man, I'll do whatever you say." And when he called and said, "We're going back to KW," I said, "Fantastic. I'm really, really, really excited about that." And you know something, you guys, it's an incredible company with a great model. And you can get out of this company whatever you want as long as you're willing to do the work. And nothing's for free, right? You got to do the work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything you can think of, you have access to. Look, we're all sitting here on this Zoom call this morning, and I would love to sit on this Zoom call and be a listener, because you learn so much from what other people bring to the table, little tiny nuggets and things. So we whether you're in the business for 2 weeks or 30 years, it doesn't matter. You have things to bring to the table. And that's what I like about KW.
I love that. I love that. On that note, we're talking about models and things. A
Yeah.
quick announcement in case Joe and Jefi, you may not know this, and the people on this call may not know this. At Family Reunion, there was many things that were released, of course, as usual. One of the things that was really key was that Jason Abrams, who's the head of industry for the company, they put together all these models. As you know, they're Mark King, Jason Abrams, Gary Keller. They're always interviewing the top agents in the company and at other companies as well, finding out what are they doing that's new and innovative. And when they find something that's cool that can be repeated, they try to package it up into a model that they can share with everybody and be like, hey, here's a model. If you want to do client events, if you want to do open houses, here's the latest of what's going on that's good. They took all of these and packaged them all up, and now we have a Google Drive that has all these models in it. It's pretty outstanding. I've only scanned through.
That's awesome.
But we're going to be doing that as an office. I know I share it because I know I saw him post it as well. I'm sure up in the South Bay, you guys are all going to be doing that as well. But yeah, those are some of the cool things that you get. Anyways, let's talk about here's what I like to do. We've got about 8 minutes left. Let's talk about the shift and what's going on here in the last year. And then we'll wrap it up with some questions from the audience. So as the market's been shifting here, as interest rates have gone up, Joe and Jefi, how is your business? How has it changed? What have you guys done in preparation for that? Or as this is happening, what have you guys done to kind of hunker down? What strategies are you using now?
Well, we're lucky that we have a big enough client base that we have listings, because everybody's buyer pool is diminished. I don't know, 70%. So we all have less buyers, and it's just a grind. So we're lucky that we got listings and we can stay afloat relying on that. And we're still doing client events. We're still spending money on our clients, and we've never forgotten them. So we're reaping those rewards. But also, like, we have a farm of 500 homes that we send postcards to every month, and that we do 4 drops a year in that farm as well, of like San Diego Padre calendars, to just cute little Tabasco bottles that say the market's hot right now, or the cute little sayings like that, and or sunscreen and those kinds of things. And we drop those within the 500 farm. I walk my dog in the farm too. Jefi has her farm, because I'm in Spring Valley and she's in La Mesa, which are right next to each other. So I think everyone's doing the grind type work of where you got to just hunker down, like you said. And so that's one of the things we're doing. And we're also doing the the referral business, and then like side businesses too, like and Jefi has them as well. Like, one of mine is I didn't graduate at the University of Georgia, but I'm a University of Georgia college football fan. So I found a University of Georgia bar, and now I'm a volunteer on the board. And I've closed one deal from that board. It takes a long time for people to know you, to get to trust you, and then you can implement and let them know what you do, and then it just grows from there. And then so it's growing even more to where I'm working with someone part of the university that is connected, and where we can do it's like a LaTip, where you can just network with everybody in there. So that's just an example of a side job that I've been working on for a few years.
That's very cool. Jefi, you're just posting about the podcast that you do as well.
Yeah, so I put that, I popped that into the meeting chat. That has a lot of stuff that Joe and I do, from client parties to the farm to staying in touch with people. So there's some cool nuggets in there. Peruse it if you want. But in the same token as what Joe was talking about, like we looked at each other the other day and went, okay, back to basics, man. Let's meet at the office and spend 2 hours calling people.
Yeah.
Of those 2 hours of calls, I got 2 referrals. I'm not sure what Joe ended up with, but every time we got somebody on the phone and we asked for a referral, we high-fived each other. It's just kind of like get in a team with someone.
Yeah.
Don't do this time alone. The other thing is that a lot of people during this time get panicky, and then they start running errands, 7 hours out of the day, or cleaning their house, or, working in the yard or whatever. Make a huge commitment to having your calendar be your boss during a time when things get slower. And, you do your things, you do your calls, you write your notes, you go see your clients, you plan a client party, you research your numbers, you call other agents. I mean, if you think about the amount of business that is out there for referrals of people who come into LA and San Diego area, it happens all day, every day. So who do you know in a transplant city that you can call and build a relationship with? So I think Joe and I really look at this time as building relationships, whether that's walking the farm, and Joe has some great fruit trees, so he drops off fruit for people. And we sent out a note saying who's a Girl Scout that we can support with over 100 boxes of cookies for our clients. You don't want to be quiet during this time. You want to be loud. You want people to know what you're doing, because they need you more than they've ever needed you before, because they're scared. They don't know what's happening, and you do. You have the opportunity to know what's going on. So that would be my answer to that.
Oh man, that was some, I mean, I was like, oh my God, if I was an agent right now, I'd be taking notes, and I was like, I should be doing that too. I was like, oh, that's right, I'm a team leader these days. No, but as an agent, those are the things you should absolutely like, be loud. I love that. We have a few minutes. Do we have any questions from anybody want to post it? You can post it in the chat. You can unmute yourself if you have a question for Joe and Jefi.
I have a question for you. Do you have a presence on social media, or how does that play into your marketing program?
Yeah, we have websites. We have videos that we spend a lot of money on that are on those websites to give us a strong online presence. So if anyone who doesn't know us and they go onto our website and they watch the video, we hope that they're impressed enough to pick up the phone. And then obviously Google, Yelp, and Zillow, and we have online profiles on all of those.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Instagram. So I do a lot of stuff on Instagram with my podcast. We do a lot of client stories on Instagram. I personally do an Instagram auto feed into Facebook, because I don't use Facebook as much, but a lot of our clientele uses Facebook. Joe is very good at writing funny things on social media. I'm not so good. So usually I'm all, can I borrow that? But yeah, we do have a social presence. I wouldn't say that presence brings us tons of business, but if you think about it as a layering effect of getting people to know who you are, you want to have your eggs in many baskets. You don't want them all in one. So you just start peppering them around. So the farm might give us 4 deals this year, and the web might give us 2 deals, and the parties might give us 10 deals, and the calls might give us 20 deals. You just got to kind of pepper things around.
Yeah, I just want credibility, just credibility online, and not because I put too much money into it. It's a really hard game to win. So long as there's credibility, and then and our clients are following us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They'll post something that they had a baby, and it's like, oh my God. And then so we can capitalize off that and send them something, or somebody's sick, then we can capitalize off that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many things on social media that I focus on just my clients for, but to get business from social media is it's hard to do.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Great point. We got time, I think, for one or two more questions. What else we got out there?
Chris Goldrup here. What was your biggest challenge with starting up the podcast?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, it's really easy. I was FISBOing myself. And what I mean by that is I didn't hire a professional. And so once I realized that I needed to hire a professional, everything just took off. Like we just recorded our 50th episode. And it's so funny because I laughed and laughed and laughed about that. Here we preached to the choir to get help, get somebody to help you that knows more than you do. And here I was trying to do all these things and make it happen. And when I hired somebody, it just went boop. So that's my answer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, I think that's all the time we have. We always promise to get you guys out of here at 8:30. So Joe and Jefi, thank you so much for being on the Producers Club Zoom call. It's great to see a lot of old faces. I see you guys all in the little boxes. Or I see your names at least. So great to see some old familiar names. Thanks everybody for coming. I hope you all have a wonderful, successful Friday and a great weekend to follow with lots of business. Love to all you guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Ed.
Bye. Bye.